Okay, so you've heard all about SRE, or Site Reliability Engineering. It's how the world's most innovative companies scale without sacrificing reliability. But to build a healthy engineering culture, you need more than tools. You need the right processes to make sense of complexity. Help everyone be accountable for quality and turn incidents into investments. Blameless is the end-to-end SRE platform, and we're here to meet you where you are on your journey toward resilience. Think of Blameless as a control plane to create process consistency across the software delivery lifecycle. With our service lifecycle record, you'll gain complete service context across all your data. This includes changes made within your systems, service dependencies, and incident data. One of the hardest trade-offs to make in delivering software is understanding when to prioritize speed versus quality. With SLOs, you can optimize both to the degree that will best protect your customers. With SLOs, you can make data-driven decisions around prioritization by creating a shared language across customers, dev, ops, and the business. This means less incident and alert noise and a more aligned team. But like we said, we can't always predict when an incident will occur. That's why we built our incident resolution feature. Our chatbot automates toil by aggregating the right context, so it's at your fingertips when you need it. With role-specific checklists and runbooks, you can scale incident response across teams too. Once you've resolved your incident, you'll want to learn as much from it as you can. With Blameless incident retrospectives, automated data capture shaves off hours of toil. You'll also be able to create and report on follow-up action items, driving forward-looking accountability. Blameless's comprehensive reliability insights and out-of-the-box dashboards ensure you can hit the ground running. Join leading cloud-native tech companies as well as Fortune 500s who are all partnering with Blameless to truly embrace SRE. With Blameless as your guide to operationalize SRE, you'll make the most out of failure and build a more resilient future.
Hello and welcome to Conf42 Site Reliability Engineering 2022, the third edition of our conference on building resilient systems. Before we talk content, please make sure to join our Discord server, where you can post questions and meet speakers and other attendees. For starters, this event was made possible by Blameless and FireHydrant, Diamond sponsors. Mulesoft, Platinum sponsor. Teleport, the video sponsor. Cortex, Gremlin. Site 24/7 by Zoho Corp, Gold sponsors. Silver sponsors and media partners. The conference opens with a keynote by Kurt Andersen, SRE architect at Blameless, implementing a learning team, a real-world case study.
Hello. As engineers, we sometimes have a tendency to look for technical solutions to pretty much everything. But technology is only one part of the triad of people, process, and technology, and note that it is usually listed last. When we are seeking reliability for our systems, consider a wider context and look at how to enhance the capabilities on the people side of the system. I hope you will join me for my talk about how we succeeded in more ways than we expected by using a learning team approach to address a multifaceted problem that had visibility at the highest levels of our company. Please join me for my talk at Conf42 SRE, Implementing a Learning Team.
Malcolm Preston, staff software engineer at FireHydrant, will prove that we can't all be Shaq, why it's time for the SRE hero to pass the ball, and how to make it happen.
Hello. Please join me for my talk titled We Can't All Be Shaq. I'll share with you some of the pitfalls of being an SRE hero and how it can affect your organization's incident management process. Hopefully, you will learn some interesting perspectives that can help foster a better reliability culture in the future.
Cristina Buenahora, founding engineer at Cortex, will answer the following question. Is your team any good? 4 key metrics for measuring your team's performance.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here at Conf42, talking about how to measure your team's performance and improve it using DORA metrics. So I'll be going through what these metrics are, what good looks like for these metrics, and how you can actually use the tools that you have in place today to figure out how your team is doing, spot bottlenecks, and hopefully put some plans in place to improve them going forward.
The 4th keynote will be conducted by Kolton Andrus, the founder and CTO of Gremlin.
Pleasure to come share with you some of the lessons I've learned in building reliable systems along the way. I worked at Amazon and Netflix, where I was responsible for helping ensure that our systems were reliable and that when they weren't reliable, we were acting and fixing it as quick as possible. We're here today because we don't want to end up on this page. We don't want to end up in the news for an outage that occurred. And unfortunately, this is becoming more and more commonplace in today's day and age. And we feel for this and feel for the folks that are in these circumstances. We're operating very complex systems with lots of moving pieces and interconnected dependencies. And this makes the job of building a reliable system fairly difficult.
In the 5th keynote, you will learn how to build the next evolution of composable architecture using GraphQL with Priya Singh, Senior Solutions Engineer at Mulesoft.
Today we are going to be talking about how you and your organizations can build the next evolution of composable architecture using GraphQL. Every organization is either building APIs or consuming APIs in one form or another, which means that developers need to consume data from multiple APIs all at once. To get data from multiple sources in the past, we were writing custom code to be able to collect the data and write it into a presentable format. Every single step was a custom code project. It would start from scratch, and in the end, whatever the deliverable was restricted to that particular project. But today we are not doing that. At least, I hope most organizations are not doing that. Today we are talking about reusability. We are building APIs for one project and reusing them in different projects.
For the 6th keynote, please join me in welcoming Raji Srinivasan, Director Product Management at Site 24/7 by Zoho Corp, future of observability in an experience-driven economy.
Hello everybody, I'm Rajalakshmi from Site 24/7. What is the importance of digital experience and how does it impact your business? How do you define SRE? And what is observability? What are its pillars? How do you achieve the same? And how does AIOps help SRE in achieving observability? Well, these are some pointers that I'll be discussing in my session in the upcoming Conf42 SRE event. See you there.
The 7th keynote session will address 4 golden signals, monitoring the health of your service. Presented by Michael McAllister, SRE team lead at Teleport.
In this talk, I'll be walking through what the 4 golden signals are and how you can use them to build a solid foundation for the monitoring of your service. We'll also put this into practice by monitoring a small service using Prometheus and Grafana. Really looking forward to this talk, and I hope you all enjoy the conference.
In the 8th highlighted lecture, you will learn more about SRE anti-patterns with Niladri Choudhury, the CEO of Xolentro and organizer of DevOps India Summit.
We will talk about 10 different anti-patterns that I have seen and that every day while interacting with people who are practicing SRE. The first that we are going to talk about is renaming operations to SRE and continue to do the same work that you do.
The Getting Started track is the first one today. Christian Elson and Lerna Ekmekçoğlu, solutions architects at AWS, will show you how to optimize end-user connectivity for multi-region architectures.
Do you know that a pilot, when flying a plane, has a switch to shut off fuel to each and every one of their engines inside the plane? And that's just in case one of these engines is having a glitch or even if it's on fire. So along the same lines, can we create a reliable switch to turn off traffic when building multi-region architectures?
Is there a performant and reliable way to connect global end users to multi-region applications? In this talk, we will deep dive into those questions and more, like how to do blue-green deployments. We will have a hands-on session with lots of demos. Please join us.
In the next talk, Miriah Peterson, Senior Data Reliability Engineer at Weave, will present what is data reliability engineering and why is it crucial to any data organization.
I'm really excited to speak to you today at this Site Reliability Engineering session of Conf42. And we will be talking today on the topic of data reliability engineering and why it's crucial to your data organization.
Alerting on SLOs and error budget policies is the next topic by Ricardo Castro, lead SRE at Anova.
So what we have on the menu? For starters, we're going to set up some context. So we're going to talk about SLOs. SLOs are all about reliability, so it's easier if we have some ground knowledge to actually build on top of these concepts of reliability and then talk about alerts and error budget policies. We'll then talk about some reliability concepts, so we're going to talk about SLOs, but we need to talk about all the things that encompass SLOs. So we need to talk about the foundation that gives us SLOs, we need to talk about metrics and SLIs, and we will then talk about accompanying concepts like error budget and SLAs. We'll then get to the good part where we are going to talk about how we can alert on SLOs and what are error budget policies and how can we leverage them. And at the end, we're just going to conclude on why all of this is important.
In the next lecture, Kazuki Higashiguchi, software engineer at Autify, will guide you through joining operational works in your new DevOps team.
Today, I'm going to talk about how to join operational works smoothly when you join a new team, such as manual recovery operations, triaging alerts, addressing incidents, and so on. Such troubleshooting is essential, especially for SRE guys, but it's difficult for new members because you don't understand how your system works enough yet. This talk will give you some tips on quickly catching up on your service-specific knowledge and contributing to your team from early on. I hope to see you there. Thank you.
SRE Best Practices for API Design is the next session by Navendu Pottekkat, developer advocate at API7.ai.
I'll be talking about what reliability means for APIs, reliability issues in traditional API architectures, API gateways, and modern development best practices for API design using API gateways. I'm really excited for this talk, and I hope you enjoy it.
Richard Lewis, Senior DevOps Consultant at FreeCloud, will now show you how Limao helps during outages.
Hi. Outages happen, no matter who's on call. Please join me for my talk on LMAO strategies, so that way your on-call team will be able to LMAO their way through that outage.
Transformation and cultural shift using SRE and data science is the next topic presented by Rohit Sinha, Director of Cloud Application Services at T-Systems International.
Hi, my name is Rohit, and I'm going to talk about transformation and cultural shift using site reliability engineering and data science. We'll discuss things like how SRE is a transformation driver, how to tackle cultural issue, how to tackle technology issue, how to use data science for more leverage, and the ability to take risk in the organization, and a lot about the challenges and my experience. Please join in and stay tuned.
The security track will start with 5 security best practices for production-ready containers by Martin Wimpers, Senior Director Developer Community Relations at Slim.ai.
Please come and join me for my talk where I share 5 security best practices for production-ready containers. These are practical examples you can start using right away to better secure your container images. I'll cover container vulnerability analysis, generating a software bill of materials, and performing deep container analysis so you can really understand what you're shipping to production and what your exposure is. I hope to see you there and that you enjoy the conference.
Terraform Apply, secured by Open Policy Agent, is the next lecture by Peter O'Neill, Community Advocate at Styra.
Hey everyone, join me for my talk about securing Terraform with Open Policy Agent. We're going to talk about Terraform, CI/CD pipelines, and finding the best decision points along that pipeline to introduce Regal policies to secure the deployment of resources. I hope to see you there and have a great conference.
It's time for the tools track. Brian Barkley and Vivek Deshpande, Senior Engineers at LinkedIn, will now present HODR, detecting and addressing overload in LinkedIn microservices.
We're going to be talking about HODR, which is a framework we developed at LinkedIn to detect and address service overloads in our data centers. It turns out there are a lot of different ways for a service to become overloaded when operating at massive scale. And ideally, I think we'd all prefer to have systems that are able to handle these situations on their own instead of melting down in the middle of the night and setting off someone's pager. We'll talk about the different ways we determine if a service is overloaded and how we provide relief. I'm hoping this talk will be interesting and informative for you.
Piyush Verma, founder and CTO at Last9.io, is here to show you how to build an open metrics exporter.
Life of an SRE is about metrics that are emitted by millions per minute. Emission is easy, but selection and processing is tediously hard. How do we see what's important, and how do we combine the common metrics that observe the same resource? Open Metrics Exporter helps you build declarative metric pipelines to solve this. Taking an inspiration from Terraform's contribution towards infrastructure as code, Open Metrics Exporter solves that in the realm of observability as code. I'm Piyush Verma, CTO and co-founder at Last9.io. Watch me talk about Open Metrics Exporter at Conf42.
Exposing log metrics to Prometheus with best practice is the first observability track session by Samuel Arok-Bonlo, Senior Infrastructure Engineer at O1 Labs.
Hello, I'm here today to talk about exposing log metrics to Prometheus with the best practice possible. Industry standard. There are a couple of ways to play around moving log metrics to Prometheus, but we're going to highlight a couple of best practices today, and I really do hope you enjoy the conversation.
Dotan Horovits, Principal Developer Advocate at Logs.io, will now present the state of DevOps and observability in 2022.
Hi, I'm Dotan Horovits, and I'd like to invite you to my talk at SRE 2022. Where I'll share the recent statistics about the state of DevOps and observability, and I'll look into some common assumptions about what people use, what the issues are, what the solutions people use. I'll check how these assumptions hold true in light of the results. See you at SRE 2022.
Smoke detectors in large-scale production systems is the next talk by Abhijeet Mishra, software engineer at last9.io.
Static alert thresholds no longer cut it for modern distributed systems. With production systems increasing in scale rapidly, it is a recipe for disaster. Observability tools have recognized this need and provide a way for magically detecting any deviations from normal system behavior. I'll be talking about how to go about building a smoke detector for such systems.
Aliaksandr Valialkin, founder and CTO of Victoria Metrics, is here to talk about Kubernetes monitoring, why it is difficult and how to improve it.
Hello, I'll be talking about Kubernetes monitoring, about the current state of the Kubernetes monitoring, why it's so difficult and how we can improve it. Thanks for joining in.
Adding OpenTelemetry to production apps, lessons learned, is the next amazing lecture by Dave McAllister, Senior OSS Technical Evangelist at Nginx.
OpenTelemetry rules the observability space, but not all parts are equal, and all offer different challenges. Specifications, APIs, and SDKs vary widely in implementation and stability, and results can vary. Come learn from our work to add OpenTelemetry to a microservices app, from needs identification through actual solution across logs, metrics, and traces.
The lessons learned is the last but definitely not least track today. Hila Fish, Senior DevOps Engineer at Wix, is here for a one-woman show of migrating an entire R&D SCM from Bitbucket to GitLab.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining, and I really hope that you'll enjoy this awesome conference. In my talk, I'll share my journey of migrating an entire R&D codebase from Bitbucket Cloud to a self-hosted GitLab on my own, but of course with help from people along the way, planning, implementation, handoffs, the whole works. I'll share best practices of managing a technical project end to end, and you'll have a lot of key takeaways that you could adopt so your project will be handled smoothly and successfully. So stay tuned, and I really hope that you'll enjoy this one.
Using incidents to level up your teams is the next inspiring talk by Lisa Colin Curtis, product engineer at incident.io.
I'm going to be talking about using incidents to level up your teams at Conf42. Looking forward to it.
Z Ayaso, Archmage of Infrastructure at Tailscale, will now tell you how static code analysis prevents you from waking up at 3 a.m. with production on fire.
Do you want to hear about how you can make production services more reliable before newly written code gets into them? Then come and join my site reliability engineering talk, How Static Code Analysis Prevents You from Waking Up at 3 a.m. with Production on Fire. I'm going to show you examples of how a little static analysis in CI today can go a long way to making sure you sleep comfortably at night. I'm really looking forward to this talk, and I hope that you enjoy the conference. Be well.
Ramon Medrano Llamas, Senior Staff SRE, will address post-mortem culture at Google. How do we learn from failures and how you can too?
I'm very excited to walk you through our post-mortem culture, when we write them, how we produce post-mortems, and how do we follow up after our outages that we do have and near misses, or any other interesting learnings that we find in our site reliability engineering teams.
On call like a king. How do we utilize chaos engineering to become better cloud-native engineers? Is the next lecture by Eran Levy, Director of Engineering at Siren.
Hey, would you like to hear how we leverage chaos engineering principles to train our engineers on cloud-native practices? And how did we bring back the confidence while responding to production failures? So, I initiated a series of workshop sessions called On Call Kicking, just for that purpose. In my talk, I would like to share with you how we got there, what we are doing, and how it improves our engineering team's expertise. Looking forward to the conference. Thank you.
Henrik Rexed, cloud-native advocate at Dynatrace, is here to convince you that the freedom of Kubernetes requires chaos engineering to shine in production.
My main topic is Kubernetes. And for those who's working with Kubernetes, you probably know that Kubernetes is pretty much hard to manage. You need to identify the right size of your nodes. There's plenty of settings to deal with. At the end, there's a lot of work to make sure that the application that we'll deliver in the hands of a user are robust, and reliable when they run in a Kubernetes cluster. So if you're interested in Kubernetes and SRE methodology, I would clearly recommend to join us for the next Conf42 conference related to site reliability engineering. I will present a specific presentation related to the freedom of Kubernetes relies on chaos engineering to shine in production. So if you like Kubernetes and chaos engineering, then join me to my presentation. See you there.
Travis Goslin, Principal Software Engineer at SPS Commerce, is here to address unleashing deploy velocity with feature flags.
Feature flagging as a pattern for regular development provides immense value that you need to ensure you're taking advantage of. Development today demands iteration on your features and faster feedback loops than ever before. If you've ever had issues in your deployment pipeline being blocked by bugs or unfinished features, then you are coupling your deployment and release functionality too tightly together. Separating these characteristics out and using the concepts around progressive delivery to enable continuous delivery will not only solve your problems, but enable other significant values such as testing in production, canary releases, and experimentation. There are pitfalls though, and architectural concerns you'll want to be aware of as you explore feature flags. Dive in with me as we review to get started with feature flags, look at some real code examples, and examine different scenarios for applying flags.
Open testing. What if we open our tests like we open our source? Is the next session by Andrew Knight, developer advocate at Amplitude.
Hey everyone, I'm the Automation Panda, and today I'm going to be telling y'all about open testing here at Conf42.
In the last talk today, Paul Marsico-Vetere, Senior Cloud Infrastructure Engineer at Formidable, will present combat sports principles that apply to site reliability engineering.
Hi everyone. Hopefully there are some principles and guidelines that will help you knock out any particular problems that you might have and provide some helpful tips for SRE. Thanks so much and enjoy.
This is all we've got for you today at Conf42 SRE 2022. As always, free RSVP gives you instant access to all the content. Please join us for the keynotes live streaming on our channel right after this video ends. You can refer to the schedule on our website so you don't miss a thing. Most importantly, please join our Discord server to have a chat with speakers and other attendees. You can post questions in the hashtag Site Reliability Engineering channel. Before you get there, please make sure to read the Code of Conduct. As always, big thank you to all our speakers, partners and sponsors for making this whole event possible, and to you for being with us, watching the talks, and attending. We hope to see you on Discord in a minute. That was Mark, and have a great time at Conf42 SRE 2022. Cheers!